When he came back from SNL, and he would sit in with us, and he would do.
He loved me, he loved Dell, he loved IO.
It's a good day for a good day. Sending big love in a big way, yes.
If you know anything about the improv world, then you know one of the most important figures is on the pod. Charna Halpern is here, everyone. How you doing, Charna?
So happy to talk to you again.
I know what? I know. Exactly.
About this technology.
I know. I always have a hard time with it. Even if I practice 5 times, I'll still mess up the 6th time. So let me ask you a question now. How did you get connected? Because you're huge in the improv world. Everyone knows you, and they know Del Close. You know what I'm saying? How did you first meet Del Close, and who is Del Close?
Okay, well, Del Close was the director of Second City for many, many years, and he was the one who had the idea for long-form improvisation, which was basically the Herald. It's a funny story how I met him. I'm glad you asked that question. Well, as you know, I was doing that game theater, which was ImprovOlympic at the time.
Yes.
And it was successful, but I was really getting sick of games, and I thought there's got to be something else for improvisation.
Longer form.
Right. And so I heard of this guy, Del Close, and so it was Halloween, and I heard that he was doing a show at an art gallery that night. And so I thought I'll go and I'll try to see if I could get him to teach a class, see what I could learn, what I could steal. Well, I didn't know that he was a witch. And so when I walked into the art gallery, there he was with his robes on, with his magic wand, and he was invoking demons. And at that time, I was learning to meditate, and they say you should white light yourself and
Yes.
let demons in. So I was horrified. And then at the end, I went up to him and I said, "You had a lot of nerve invoking demons with all these people in the room." And he said, "I protected the building." That, and he said, "Yes, I can."
He's a good witch.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, and I didn't know. So I walked out and I was really angry and he hated me. And then I went back to Cross Currents, which where I was performing. And I thought, I can't believe I ruined the opportunity to talk to the man about teaching a class. And so it just so happened that a few weeks later, he was at Cross Currents having coffee and smoking a cigarette. And I thought, well, I heard he's always high and he doesn't remember people. So he's not going to remember me from 5 minutes a long time ago, a few weeks ago. So I walked up to him and I said, I wanted to bribe him. So I said, "Hey, how'd you like to make $200 in some pot?" And he said, "Oh, what do I got to do?" And I said, "Just teach 1 3-hour class." And he said, "Can I do anything I want?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Can I invoke demons?" And so I said, "Oh, shit, he remembers me."
Yes.
At this point, I said, "Yeah, you can do anything you want." And then he taught a class that just was brilliant, that exposed the secrets of the universe to us. And afterwards we went for coffee and I said, "I just know there's got to be something more for improv." And and he said, "Well, maybe you're not a twit after all." And he said, "If you want to shut down your little game theater, we could work on this long form that's basically unteachable and unplayable because there's no structure. And we could change the face of improvisational comedy." And I said, "Yes, please."
And that, you said yes and yes. And that's the basis of the Herald. Was the first thing you did when you started the IO.
Right. That was like after I left the games.
Yes.
And
Yes.
became IO, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this meta game that ate everything that we know in improvisation.
Who was the first person that came from that ImprovOlympic when you first started it that became huge?
The first person?
I know. I mean, I'm going to go through all the other ones that we know that I remember.
I can't remember the order, but was Farley the first?
It could have been Farley. I'm going to give me your favorite Farley story when he was there.
Oh God.
I know it's hard to pick one because you used to love him. He would come in even after when he came back from SNL, and he would sit in with us and he would do.
He loved me, he loved Del, he loved IO. Okay, well, I can actually tell you the first fight I had with him, which was when I first got to know him, because I didn't like him in the beginning.
Oh, really?
So he came to IO, he was performing in college at Marquette and he wanted to get on stage. So when he came to IO and took level 1, he was trying so hard. He'd do the falling on the stage with his pants falling and just being real crazy. And I just wanted him to take the work seriously. I couldn't stand him, and Pat Finn, I don't know if you remember him, would just take him away, go, he's sorry. Come on, Farley, he's sorry. That was like, Pat was like his little bodyguard. So one night, I can't remember the name of the theater we're at. It was on Lincoln, one of the 15 places I was thrown out of.
Yeah.
And I know Kettner was playing at the time.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Michaels was playing. I'll never forget that. And Farley comes up to me in the lobby. We hadn't started yet. He goes, "Let me play tonight." And I was like, "Are you crazy? You're the worst. You're not playing. Come on, let me play." And he's like banging the wall over my head. "Let me play. Come on." He was really jonesing to get up on the stage.
Oh.
But you know me, I'm like, everyone respects me. Nobody treats me like that. You know,
Right.
I thought, okay, I'm gonna scare the shit out of him. So I said, "I'll tell you what, you want to play? Go ahead. But if you screw up, you won't work at all in this town." But before I could even finish the threat, he was bounding to the stage.
Wow.
And I remember Kettner and Mike Myers giving me a look like, "What are you doing?" But you know what? We were so small at the time. It wasn't like we had packed houses. Maybe
Right.
people. So I thought, okay, we'll teach him a lesson. And he was so good, Greg.
Really?
So
Wow.
good. He was wonderful. He was hilarious, and he did beautiful scenes. And everyone fell in love with him right away, including me. And he came up to me like a little puppy dog, you know, making his hair stand up, going, "Was that okay?" And I was like, "It was wonderful." and you know what? After that, he was able to calm down and really be good in my classes because he proved to me what he needed to prove. And then he was good. And
He was fine from there on out. So Mike Myers, he came over from Canada, right? I remember you.
Canada, Dell and I went to teach a workshop there, and we met him, and he loved what we were doing. And then one day he rang my bell and said, "I moved here." And he couldn't work at Second City right away because he had to get a green card.
Oh, okay.
For about 6 months, he was at IO. It was wonderful.
Right. And what stuck out about Mike Myers to you about his work on stage? I remember what you told me one story about him.
What?
I remember how you said he was so good with detail that he'd go out as if he's going to get, not just like in a scene, like let's get to the car, and we'll get to the car and start going. His part of the scene was getting to the car, opening the door carefully, rolling down the window, adjusting the mirror.
Fixing the mirror. And he was also really into the group work. Mike never cared about being the lead in the scenes. He was always the decoration. You know, if the king was talking, he'd go, peas and carrots, it'd be the townspeople, you know. So he loved that stuff. He was really smart.
Yeah.
At a very high reference level, and he was kind of a phenomenon because he's very quiet off stage.
Very, yeah.
And then on stage, he was just a riot, you know. So it was like there were a few phenomena like that, like Farley. Farley was kind of dumb off stage, but really smart on stage.
Brilliant.
And it was like I couldn't figure out how that happened. It was weird. A light would turn on in his eyes, behind his eyes.
That's great. If you had to pick the greatest improv house team at the ImprovOlympic, would it be the family?
Yeah.
It would be. The original family. I'm thinking.
Blue Velveeta, a close second, but the family,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
I describe them as watching 6 men fall down the stairs at the same time and land on their feet. Yeah,
That's
that was
great.
them.
That's
And they were the first ones that really made the work speed up.
Oh, really? Blue Velveeta.
In a bad way, because we believe in slow comedy, but they were able to access that third thought quickly. And so they were really smart. And
that's what Del would teach us. You know, the first instinct, no. The second, no. The third, yes. Isn't that crazy?
remember, that's right.
Yeah, I remember that.
But that's a knee-jerk reaction to be jokey. Yeah.
First house on that family, there was a lot of different people, but I remember it was Adam McKay, Matt Besser, Matt Walsh, Neil Flynn, Ian Roberts, who created.
No, Walsh wasn't on it.
He wasn't?
Yeah. It was Adam McKay, Neil Flynn, Matt Walsh, Miles Stroth.
Yep. Ali Farinaki, was he on that?
Yeah. Ali,
okay. And then was Rachel part of that first team, or she was not part?
A little bit, but she didn't like it. She wanted to leave the team. I don't know why. She wasn't happy there. We put her somewhere else, but she just, right. I don't know why. I think they went too fast. You know, it's like Pasquazi sat in with them once, and he hated it too. It's like,
oh, really?
Because they like to play slower and more thoughtful. And these, bam, you know. Yeah.
Adam's mind was always amazing. How he would just pick the most, you know, far off. I could see how him and Del would have gotten along really, really well. Because they're like two peas in a pod, those two. Now, was Stephen Colbert there at one point?
Trained Stephen Colbert when he was in college. His team was No Fun Mud Piranhas, and he was with it. David Schwimmer was on it. And then I did this little comedy competition, a college competition with Northwestern and Yale, which was Purple Crayon, and University of Chicago. And that was really fun. And then he kind of like got into it, and then he started waitering at Second City or something like that.
Right.
He got in.
Wow. Now, I remember my fifth week after I got out there, I got to sit in or be on the team of, for at least a little bit before they broke up, Jon Favreau's team. I don't remember the name of it.
Corky's Callback.
Corky's Callback. Yeah, and I think E.J. Peters was on that also with him. And
And actually, there was problems at first because Matt and Ian were original team.
oh,
Started movies with Adam McKay and Pete Holney and all those guys, and they jumped ship. And then Favreau wanted to jump ship, and they wouldn't let him. They didn't let him, and he was very upset about that.
Favreau was also upset because of Second City. They wouldn't let him.
They conned him, as everyone, it's like a short list. You're on a short list. Just keep hosting and working, and they never hired him. And he was great.
He was amazing. Him and Adam, to me, when I think back of the time there, they never failed when they were on stage. They were so smart, and they were always able to turn something, establish something. And I remember, Favreau, he didn't suffer fools wisely. I remember when I would mess up early on, he would like make me the idiot in the scene, and it was funny to everybody else, but me, and I'm like, okay, I deserve this, but yeah, he was.
That's why they didn't want to play with him, because these guys all took care of each other and they loved each other, and they wouldn't do that to each other. So I think there was just a difference of personalities. It's too bad, because I think he would have been really funny with him because they're both so smart. But
absolutely, they're both so brilliant. Did Jason Sudeikis come after me?
Honey, I can't possibly remember that,
because I don't remember him there when I was there at all. But he was there at ImprovOlympic. Yeah, Jason Sudeikis.
On Clark Street. I was just with Jason the other night, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had fun.
He's so talented.
He's so funny. He's so talented. He's so dedicated to the work. He gave a speech to the kids at IO, and he's so inspiring.
He is. He seems like he is. I'm going to get everybody. I'm going to do a thing where I'm getting every big ImprovOlympic alumni, every IO alumni on the podcast. Starting with you, because I talk to Favreau. I see Favreau every once in a while. I see Adam every once in a while out here. I see
Favreau. Where do you see him? Because I would love to see him.
Well, I saw him at one of the Marvel movie premieres, like the big one, like the Avenger movie. But then I also saw him at Seth MacFarlane's Christmas party, and I would run into him here and there at places. Always been great to me when I see him. But yeah, he's wonderful. I'll make sure to connect him with you again when
I've emailed him. I don't know if it's the same email anymore, but I never hear from him.
Yeah,
he's the only one I can't reach. I can reach Tina Fey, Amy, anyone, Adam, anytime, but not Favreau.
And I remember Tina back then, because Tina was on the stage. I remember she would never be necessarily the initiator of the scene, but she could always come in and tie everything up, was what I remember about Tina. She was
great. She was very funny, smart, physical. And I remember I had Tina and Amy in separate classes. And when I put the teams together, I said, these girls
yes.
kill it,
Yes.
And then they became best friends. They credit me for introducing them to this day.
As well, you did. Yeah, exactly. And Amy would do all the characters. Tina was just more cerebral, and she was just so smart and she was so great with that. I want to know how you got Jeff Richman, because he's absolutely amazing. He was so integral to that show. He knew every musical style for musical option. He knew how to do every kind of music background. He was incredible. How did you find him?
I can't remember. I think, was he a piano player at Second City, or was he with me first?
4 years I was there, he was there the whole time. I
don't know how I got him. I don't remember that far back, but I do remember that Tina had a crush on him.
She did way back then.
And she was very shy. And he told me he needed an assistant for this Hamlet, the Melancholy musical show.
Yes, I remember the Hamlet. Yes.
Yes. So I went up to Tina. I said, would you like to be an assistant for me for Jeff Richman? And she was like, yes, thank you. And they fell in love.
What a great couple. Wow.
Oh, perfect.
Oh my God, so perfect. They work so well together. That's great to be able to work with the one, that your partner.
I think he's his writing secret. I think her writing secret is what I mean.
I think you're right, probably. They were amazing. Yeah. Tell me about Bill Murray. I remember he tried to do an improv movie.
Yeah, right.
I remember you talking about that when I was training you. Remember we used to train together for a little bit?
Made us do this workshop because he wanted to do an improvised movie with Del to direct. And so he brought Bud Cort.
Yes.
And Jamie, what was her name? She was one of those little teen stars. I can't remember her name.
Yeah.
Jamie Gertz.
Oh, Jamie Gertz.
And his people, and I think including his brother, and we were doing improv. And then, but I don't know, nothing happened with it. Like, we did some workshops, it was fun, but then nothing came of it.
Because I guess, as we know, when you're watching improv on stage, it is the most mind-blowing. The audience, when it works, they're so blown away of this. There's no way these people have not planned this out. There's no way that, it's like, but they have no idea.
The actual writing of the movie or the scenario just never very happened, because the classes, they were hilarious. Bud Cort is a genius.
Yeah.
Oh God, he was the best. He was the best. You know, I didn't think he would be, because there's Bill Murray, who's hilarious, and
yeah,
Bud Cort was amazing.
How often
that was really fun. Yeah.
How often did SNL? I remember when they would come to recruit people. Did Cecily Strong and Vanessa Bayer were they cast from iO's?
Yeah, they came once a year, sometimes twice a year, usually in July.
Okay.
And I would put up, first of all, I would start working in February. I'd give everyone a chance to write 5 minutes, and then of those people, I would have to pick the best 15, because that's what he wanted to see. And then he'd usually, out of the 15, because I was very good at picking it for him, he really liked it. And he liked the way IO worked. He liked the way that people took care of each other and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then he'd take like 8 out for drinks, and then he'd take just to see who's crazy or not. And then he'd fly out maybe 3 or 4, and then hire maybe 2 a year. I have a pretty good track record. Cecily Strong, this is interesting. She was my box office manager at the time. Also one of my house teams. She was on the Deltones.
Oh, I love her. She's so great.
And I had finished my 5-month audition process before Lorne Michaels was coming. And I happened to be passing the box office on the way up to my office. And I said, Cecily, how come you didn't audition for me this year? And she said, well, I have some stuff, but it's not really ready. So I'll wait till next year. Because people were afraid that if they weren't good, Lorne wouldn't want to see them again.
Right.
So I said, let me see what you have, because I knew how good she was.
Yeah.
And I went upstairs, and everything was really short. And I said, you want to know something? This is actually a good audition, because most people go too long.
Too long.
They do the joke and we get it, and they do it again. I'm going, we got it,
Right.
And she just made the joke, and the characters were clear. Like, she did the girl who you don't want at the party, and some
Right.
guy at a buffet. And I said, no, you're going to go up. And she was like, no, I'm scared. I'm not ready. And I was like, I'm telling you, you're ready. And she got hired.
Wow, that makes sense.
Your life turns on a dime there. It's like, if I didn't walk by, that wouldn't happen.
Absolutely. And also she, well, it was different because she did the right thing by getting in, just showing who the character is, taste of that with a little funny thing, and then you're out. And that's probably the best way to do it, instead of like, here's the character, here's more of the character, here's the same thing you've seen before, but I'm doing it again.
That's exactly what people do. And when you mentioned Vanessa, here's something that was funny. This was a year where I had an amazing crop. And I could not narrow it down to like 30 people, but finally I did. And he came, and I asked him, I said, can you give me 2 nights? Because I have so many amazing people. He said, absolutely not. 1 night. And so I said, okay. So I put up the 15 people, and they all killed. And he said to me after the show, so you're telling me that you have another 15 people as good as these? I said, yes. He goes, okay, I'll come back tomorrow night. Well, that was the group Vanessa was in.
Wow. But it's so true. Like, I mean, when I first, came out here, people would ask me about improv. Like, oh, so yeah, I mean, this is right before you guys opened up out here. Okay, so it was the in between period. And I'm like, the best improv training is not the Groundlings. I'm sorry, you got to go. Not Second City. You have to go to Chicago ImprovOlympic. Everybody who came from the improv world has come from there. Trust me, this is the best place. And it was lightning in a bottle when I was there with all those.
Well, the Groundling people, I don't mean to cut you off, the Groundlings started taking classes there.
Yes. That's so funny. Well, I also remember when SNL, so that was when you guys were like such a well-oiled machine, everybody got on. But when I was there, it was like, you would tell people like the day of, hey guys, SNL people be here tonight. And then, or the day before, and everybody would be like, what they're all coming? And then people would have the worst show, because everybody would try to like put their characters in when it didn't fit into a scene.
Well, that's what they used to do to me.
Right. They would just tell you.
And I would put, and I'd put up the best shows that I can. But then, and that's actually how John Lutz got hired, because the last improv show I did for him, for Lorne, I had a whole bunch of people who were going to do an Armando.
Oh, yeah.
And I just forgot about John Lutz. And John, for your listeners, is now writing for Seth, right? Yeah, Seth.
Yes. Because he was ready for SNL. Now he's ready for.
And he was on SNL, 30 Rock. He did a lot. But anyway, so he said to me, just as the lights were ready to go down and the people were backstage ready to go, he ran up to me and he said, Charna, please put me up. Please let me play. I feel so ready. And I had just forgotten. I love John Lasso.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, go back there, quick, go. I can't believe I forgot you. And he got hired that night. So it's always been like lucky, just so
Wow.
Lorne said to me that improv shows are not really helping him to figure out who he wants. He really needs to see them doing writing, doing characters, like giving everyone 5 minutes each. Then he could tell more of what they can do. So then I changed it. And then I started,
telling people write this certain.
Bringing people up. I started working months and months ahead of time because he still did that. He would go, okay, we're coming this weekend. I'd be ready because I already finished my 5 months of auditions.
So you would tell people do like 5 characters at 5 minutes, 1 minute each or something like that?
I'd say 5 minutes, it could be 3 characters, could be 5, but just, do them short. Do as much as you can. Show us what you can. If you can do an impression, that's great. Don't worry about it because it's such heavy makeup now. It doesn't even matter.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So doing characters isn't as important in an SNL audition, you're saying?
It is important.
Oh, okay. It is important.
Writing. They want to see your writing.
The writing. Yeah, more. Okay. I thought, okay. Yeah, that's what I thought.
They want to see a character. Like they saw Vanessa do Miley Cyrus, and they saw her do this Bubba Shrimp thing. And that's what they get basically very lazy. They're like, all right, you know what? That could be our closing thing. That could be the show. Now we have 2 acts done. You know what I mean?
Right.
Paul, God, what was Paul's last name? That little guy, he did a couple of sex ed thing, and then they put that right on. So they want to see the pieces that you're going to put on. They saw Cecily's, they put it right on. And the writers can look at the characters and the scenes and go, oh yeah, I can write.
We can write for that. We can write.
He would bring 17 writers,
Yes.
Because he want them to say, yes, we could write for that. I have ideas with that character.
Yeah, that's so cool. See, like I remember like certain people like Dave Koechner, for example, he was able to bring what he did on stage to the TV. And a lot of people can't necessarily. He was able to bring that exact same kind of character that he's doing right to SNL, right to the Goldbergs, right to any movie he does. So I really like some of these people really have that talent. Some people, they can be great on stage, but not like, for example, Favreau I thought he was brilliant on stage, but when I first saw him on TV, it was like they had to like water him down a little bit. When he was on Friends, I'm thinking, wow, he's even funnier than this. He's doing great now, but he's even funnier.
I loved him on Friends.
Of course, he was amazing on Friends. But like I'm thinking, he was so funny on stage. I'm like, they should let him write his own stuff because he'll make those lines even funnier and all that. That's what I thought when I was watching.
But he had to do what the character called for. He was a good actor, and it wasn't a comedic part. Great. And he had some cute little sarcastic lines. I thought he was great. I loved him.
He's amazing. I can't say enough good things about him. Yeah. He's always been amazing. When was Truth in Comedy first published? And why is it the improv Bible everybody should have?
I wrote it on Clark Street, so I don't remember what year it was published, but it was somewhere in the 90s, I would guess.
Right.
It's the truth. That's why I call it Truth in Comedy. It's everything that Dell taught us, and it is how to do a herald, how to really connect and bring things together, and how to make it really work. You can, I mean, there's people who told me, I met this group that was from Mexico, and they did a show at my theater, and they were brilliant, and it was in Spanish, but it was just brilliant.
Oh, wow.
And I said to them, they wanted notes afterwards. I said, I could teach you nothing. And they said to me, oh, but you taught us everything. And I said, what? How? He said, we read your book. And they learned it just from the book. Which isn't something I normally recommend, but they did. And they did perfect heralds. They did connections. They did callbacks. They blended it together and made the audience scream and cheer and shout, which is, you're doing it right. When they're not just laughing, they're stomping their feet.
Oh, that's great.
It's so that's why it's the Bible, and it should be read.
Exactly. I'm going to have when people they're going to subscribe, they'll get it. But when they look at the description here, they'll actually be able to get your book also from this. It'll always be out there for that. You also did, I don't know if you did a forward, or you did something with a book called Group Improvisation with Peter Gwynn.
Oh yeah, right.
Peter was on we're on the same team in Faulty Wiring. He was my teammate. It's great. I didn't realize you guys did a book together.
Well, we didn't. It was his book, and he asked me to put it forward. So, but that was just his little thing about warm-up games and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I just saw Peter the other night, too. He's still teaching.
He's in Chicago.
Yeah, he's in Chicago now. He left the Colbert Show and decided to give his wife her turn now because she's a doctor. And so he became, they're taking turns with their careers because they have kids. But he's wonderful. And
yeah, he is. He was great. Always great. Wow. Very smart. Very smart. Have you heard from Del since he's died?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Yes. And not only that, there's a book called The Funniest One in the Room that actually documents this weird experience. On his deathbed, he told me that I said, if it was a way to come back, please let me know that there's something on the other side. And so I had a number of dreams. One was just a voicemail. I'm still here. We get to say goodbye to people. There's a holdup, and he coughed and he was like, I guess it's psychological because, but I woke up going, it's a dream. That's not proof to me, And then I had one dream where I was with him in a car, and then I had to drop him off at this like flat building with a circle drive. And he said I couldn't come in. Then the second dream, I had to take him to the same place. And he said, this time they said I could come in. So I walked in, and it was this awful place. It was like a YMCA, like men with towels walking around. And he shared a room with, other beds. So there were 3 beds and desks. And I said to him, this is where you are? And he said, I'm just here temporarily. We get to say goodbye to people and then we move on. So still, I woke up, it's a dream. Now, a month later, Howard Johnson, who edited my book, is married to a girl named Lori, who I do not know, but Lori was friends with Del. And about a month after Del died, Howard called me. He said, listen, we don't want to, we're afraid to make you upset, but Lori feels that she has to talk to you about something. So I said, okay. So she gets on the phone. She goes, I had a dream about Del that I feel that I must tell you. And she said she was with him at this place that looked like a motel, and it was awful. And she said to him, she described the room, and she said, this is where you are. And he said, we're only here temporarily to say goodbye to friends, and I need you to do me a favor. Please call Charna and tell her you saw me here. So she called me, and I almost fainted.
Oh my God.
Luckily, I told him I clicked the dream, so he verified it to Howard, and Howard wrote about it in The Funniest One in the Room, that we had that Del actually got Lori to give me a message. So he did it.
Wow.
Another way to let me know. Because every time I wake up, I go, well, it's a dream. I don't want to piss him off.
Right.
If that's how I'll come back to you, but there's still no real proof. And then he got it.
That is, I got chills and my hair stood up. All this hair kept standing up. Adam McKay said it best. You provided a framework for long-form improv comedy to explode. Charna Halpern, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, Charna. I really appreciate it.
It's so good to see you. I'm kissing you.
So good to see you. We'll see you soon.